Hello all, and welcome to tonight's review, which is a Cognac review. Yes, a Cognac. Well, only a VS Cognac, because I am definitely not rich to even buy a VSOP, much less an XO Cognac. So, we're stuck with a VS Cognac. But what is the Cognac we'll be reviewing today? Is Courvoisier. Yes, Courvoisier. So, I got the phone over here, and I am waiting for a lady to call. Yeah. And when it calls, I'm going to say, "It's a lady." And if you know the joke I'm making here, you can just go and mention it in the comments, I guess. You get a free shout out or a free like from me, I suppose. So let's read the back, shall we? Throughout history, Courvoisier has always been synonymous with superior quality. Legend has it that Napoleon even took with him hundreds of bottles to enjoy during his years in exile. Today, our VS remains a cognac of choice for those seeking exquisite taste and prestigious heritage. So, why did I go and pick Courvoisier as the cognac for this particular exploration into the world of brandies? Well, it was the cheapest one available. Cognac is pretty expensive, I am learning, especially compared to the other brandies for sale, which is not surprising. Uh, Looking at the cultural cachet that has surrounded cognac brands such as Courvoisier, Remy Martin, and Hennessy. So, without much further ado, let's go and pour this out. I love this bottle here with the Napoleon branding. Not to be confused with the Sandeman port guy, who is not a historical figure. Oh dear. Lord almighty. Just wipe this off here. And slightly overpoured, but that's okay. Clean that off a little bit here. So I don't want to get floor dirt inside of here. So as always in a Glencairn glass, because I don't have a cognac snifter or brandy snifter, if you guys want to give me one, fine. Otherwise, I'm just going to use this and hold it differently than I would my whiskeys. I'm going to hold it because they're supposed to warm. The way the cognac snifter is designed is to warm it, which is why you kind of hold it like this. Pretend this is a cognac. This is a brandy snifter because you want it to warm and sort of create aromatics. So coloration, golden brown, very much like bourbon in color, really. Fruity nose. Pears and apples. More pears than apples. More pear than apple, I'd say. Baking spice. Hints of oak wood and vanilla. And touches of florals as well. Smells a wee bit spicy. Get the legs, fairly thick legging. And onto the palate, shall we? Almost bourbon-like notes in the midst to finish. You know, you really taste that oak, and I know they're not using charred oak like they would in bourbon, but the oak is very present there in the mid to finish. It also drinks fairly hot, which is unsurprising since this is um, the youngest offering of Courvoisier, and the young VS is pretty much the youngest form of cognac or brandies. And I believe this one says about 3 to 7 years in oak. I believe they say 3 to 7 years because it's a blend, as most cognacs are, as opposed to single bottlings, as most Armagnacs are. It is not as hot as the Armagnac we tried before, but this preview, I'm kind of going to be doing a side-by-side comparison of a Cognac VS versus an Armagnac VS for the next review. And you know, it's not scientific. It's basically one type of Cognac versus one type of Armagnac. And I went and found out that the Jeannot is actually kind of atypical compared to a lot of Armagnacs in that it actually does do. It's mostly columnar distilled, but there's also a good portion that is pot distilled. This is single pot distilled. All cognacs are single pot distilled. And as you can kind of see here, the bottle is kind of shaped like a distilling alembic. Light fruity notes in front. Spice kicks in with the wood in the mids, but it's also pretty hot. Not boozy, thankfully. Booziness is a different thing altogether, and it's usually a sign that something is not really brewed too well. This is just young, so it's a little bit hot. All in all, some almost leathery notes in the mid to finish. Very slight, though. Milk chocolate notes kind of in the long finish. It might also be in the actual tasting itself, but overpowered by other things. But definitely getting some milk chocolate notes there in the long finish. It's quite pleasurable indeed, I'd say. I could really get to enjoy drinking this. In the same way I really enjoy drinking Scotch whiskey, but I can't afford to drink Scotch whiskey. Like I said, it's young, so it's hot, and is not super well defined, but you can see what a few more years in the barrel could really do for something like this. It's almost like the fruity notes are on top, where those more base oak notes and spice notes are on the bottom. Yeah. Well, it usually takes me longer to go and review, you know, especially with spirits. I tend to review them quite a bit longer. This is going to be just kind of a short one. Despite the fact that I'm talking about it being very young, very hot, I actually really enjoy this quite a bit. It offers a sort of view into a developing complexity that I'd really like to explore if I had the money. I'm going to try my best to explore this world of brandies a little bit more because, like I said, I'm finding it very interesting. Um, it's probably the least explored, least popular of the spirit styles during this craft boom. Craft boom. Craft broom. That sounds interesting. Craft brooms. Hipster-made craft brooms. Nothing but the finest artisanal straw and wooden handles. So while it does have a lot of those whiskey notes there, you know, bourbon whiskey-like notes, you can definitely tell it's not bourbon whiskey. Not with the way it smells, not with those fruity top notes. It's cognac, and it's interesting. And I really wish I had more money to explore it further. And maybe I might. I mean, I have quite a bit of money that I have like stockpiled for like a rainy day fund, as well as money that I sort of earmarked towards buying tobacco. Don't know if you guys know this, but I'm really into pipe tobacco and nasal snuff as well. So yeah, you know, I might dip into that just to go and explore this further because it's really interesting to me. So, folks, Courvoisier VS, sort of the entry level. I've read some reviews that say that this is the VS that gets closest to VSOP for cognacs. So, you know, I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's $10 less than the Hennessy VS. I don't know. I might try Hennessy. That's the one that I think that's got the most cachet, um, mainly due to rap and hip hop. But yeah, all in all, very interesting. All in all, worth exploring, especially if you have the money to. I'm definitely going to be exploring the world of brandy, not just cognac. Though I have to say, I'm enjoying cognac so far. And yeah, that's your cognac review for tonight, folks. Cheers.